What's up guys, and welcome to Iron Mustang. If this is your first time visiting the channel, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you'll get notified when new content becomes available. So today our vintage air came in and I'm very excited to break into the boxes and see what we've got. So first things first, let's get these boxes opened up and I'll explain to you what I ordered, why I ordered it, and we will start getting installed into the car. So before we place our order with Vintage Air, we need to know if our 67 or 68 Mustang came with factory air or not. So a lot of us acquire these classic cars in all kinds of conditions. So I'm going to show you guys a few tips and tricks to figure out if your car came with factory air or not. So here's an easy example of a car with no factory air. We have no vent down here below the controls, no vent in the middle, and no vent down there on the passenger side. And if we look underneath the hood, obviously we don't have any AC, hoses, pump, condenser, dryer, all that's missing. Now this car, I really wasn't sure if it was a factory AC car or not. It was pretty much gutted when I got my hands on it. I'll show you guys a couple things real quick though. If you look down here, I do have a control panel that has the vent, so that is an indication that this was probably a factory AC car. However, who knows if it was the original one for the car. Right here, this is the giveaway. There's no center divider here, and the area is wide enough to put the vent. So this was a factory AC car. And I have the vent hole over there. Just for the record, if you're new to working on these cars, that hole right there, where your heater box sat, that is not an indication whether you had a factory AC car or not. So if we're gonna put a Vintage Air system in this car, the kit that comes from Vintage Air for these non-factory AC cars, the vent mounts below the controls. We have to cut out a little center divider that's right here and modify this section to get the center vent in, and it goes below on the passenger side. So hopefully that helps some of you guys out that might have been a little confused on whether your car came with factory AC or not. If you have any questions before placing your order, make sure you contact Vintage Air. Those guys are super helpful. They helped me figure out what I needed. So when you order from Vintage Air, they absolutely sell complete systems that include everything. However, when I called them, I explained to them I was doing a 67 Mustang with factory air, and I was going to be supplying my own compressor because the compressor came with my supercharger. So here's a breakdown of what they had me order. So here's a quick overview of what you get with the SureFit evaporator kit. I'll put the part number on the screen, and remember this is the one for a factory AC car. Here's what you get with the Surefire condenser kit with dryer. And here's the SureFit modified hose kit. There is another one available on their website for a stock engine. So the last three things we got were the male trinary switch, the louver kit, and the center louver. Alright, so let's get going on the condenser and the dryer. The bar should be to the right hand side, the biggest fitting on top, and we're going to get the brackets on here. Little tip, those two brackets on those two screws right there, they're a little tight to get the second one in, so I just used something flat to hold the nut up while I screwed the screw in. Now we're going to install the dryer. Important here, Vintage Air recommends that you leave these caps on, leave it under pressure until you're ready to install it so you don't get any moisture in there. Also note the flow direction. The flow direction in our case is going to travel to the center. So it's going to mount here just like that. So next we're going to grab one of our hard lines. The notch is going to be towards the bottom. I'm going to slide my O-ring on over there. And I'm going to apply a little bit of lube around it. Now when you're putting this on here, I just realized something that I should have taken into consideration on the last step. I put my dryer a little too low. So I'm going to call Vintage Air and ask them a question. They said in the instructions not to take the caps off till you're ready to install, but then the next instruction says to put this piece on before you put the whole unit in together. Alright guys, so real quick before we head out to the car, we need to cut out this template. The one that came with the manual, the scaling was not correct, so I went to the website, printed the one off there. That one's correct, so I'm going to cut this out. We're going to get to the car. So I'm not too sure what's going on here. Ford wasn't very consistent when they built these cars. You know, the holes, the alignment, one side to the other, it's all over the place on these things. This template, as you can see, does not line up to the holes that it's supposed to. So I just went off the shape of the radiator support here, and I've held my bracket up here. I can't get a good camera angle on it, but my hole does line up inside here and will line up so I can put the screw through. So I'm going to drill it right there, put it in, get my hoses all in place, which is really going to ultimately tell me if I've done it properly or not, and report back how bad I messed it up. Alright guys, just ran into our first issue here. I'm gonna semi-slide this into place here, and then I'm gonna readjust the camera and bring you guys in and show you what we got going on. So this is a 67 Mustang. This bolt hole here is supposed to line up here and be behind, which you can see I got the brackets. They are behind, but I can't push this up because this is in the way. So now let's go over to my son's car. His car, it might be a little hard to tell because I got everything in the way, but this radiator support is cut up way higher. So not only am I going to be draining the radiator, removing the upper and lower hoses, and removing the radiator, I'm also going to be cutting into my freshly painted radiator support to make room to accommodate for this. Yeah, let's get to it. Let's get in here and see what we got going on. Popped the U-nuts in down here already. This U-nut should fit in okay. This one over here, might be able to put it on from the bottom, but I gotta do cutting anyway. Might as well make it look symmetrical. I'm probably gonna notch out right here, figure out what I need to remove, and yeah, let's get cutting. So I thought about this for a minute, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove that section in there. That should give me enough room for everything to fit. If not, I'll come back and do it again, but this is already painted, and what I want to do is least amount of cutting as possible. Before I clean this up and put it back together, let me show you guys what I did real quick. Had a couple quick little notches in the back for the relief of the bracket. So I'm gonna clean this up, shoot it with some primer or some bedline or something just to kind of protect the paint. You're not gonna see that area. And real quick before I put it back together, I'll show you how it slides up into place. put this in, I'm going to put the bottom bracket behind from the front, slide the top bracket behind also, and then get those little notches on top to come up into those slots that I created. And I'm not back there holding the bolts, but now let's get it all back together. Alright, so the last thing we got to do here is get our hard lines in. The big hose is going to go on that side of the grommet, small hose on this side. This one hooks up there, that one's going to hook back here. I'm going to fish the grommet through and leave these hanging because, like I said before, I don't want to disconnect these with just these holding the pressure, because they don't hold pressure. So that's going to wrap up the installation of the condenser and the dryer. I want to point out the kit did come with a binary switch and a wire. However, we're running an electric fan, so we're going to be installing a trinary switch when we get to the wiring. Also, I'm trying to build this channel up, bring you guys a lot of exciting content. So if you guys can take the time to subscribe, leave a comment, really appreciate it. Thank you. Come here. Hearts and sprinkles.
I don't know what you have to do.
Oh, okay, secret handshake.
No.
Oh, elbow first. Toe.